branch out. Hairspray is a great example. I mean, Edna is perhaps a different side of Divine. You got to play several roles. You've had your chance to do that. It's time to come back and be Divine.
But Edna was still in a dress.
Yes, and you were fantastic.
Flattery. Can't argue with that.
Bring down the curtain.
I mean, it is a good playing card for John to have at this point.
It is.
I kind of like that because I feel like it gets at Glenn like having this weird, he just can't get over like the dress thing, you know, like we've shown like he has had roles where he's been a good actor and not just Divine, but there's something about like being a woman that he doesn't like beyond just not being Divine.
I guess for me, this is the whole. We always have to be careful with this thing. It's not about not liking being a woman, and you know what I mean. It could be about, in my opinion. I mean, if we're you know, and it could be about what else you can be, being the thing that you want to be, right? In what he wants to be is he wants to be an incredibly versatile performer. Right? Mm-hmm. So I don't think, again, this notion of, I think that you could bring up all the stuff about Edna, and I don't think either one of you would refute that.
Right.
You know, if he wanted to be, but again, if you were going to cast him as, you know, let's say he wanted to be a great politician, let's say he wanted to play Nixon, right? You'd make him a Rob Ford-like Nixon.
Yes.
Right? You would not make him an Anthony Hopkins-esque Nixon, right? If he wanted to be, you know, a lawyer, you know, if he wanted, you guys are going to do Inherit the Wind, you know, he's not going to be, I know you said, oh, no, but he's not going to be Spencer Tracy as Clarence Darrow, right? You're going to cast him as an overweight Jim Carrey, you know, in Liar, Liar. You know, that's the thing that it keeps coming back to, right? I would say in the 70s, when they were doing all of this, they were incredibly transgressive, and he was this terrorist, right? Mm-hmm. And now the terrorist has lost all its power, and it's just a clown. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's some, the bitch has lost her teeth.
Well, and I don't think any of the evidence that we've gathered through the documentaries that we've all watched and the histories we've read and everything, nothing tells us that Glenn or any of the other actors, Ming Stoll or anybody else, had any creative input to these stories or the scripts or anything.
Actually,
it was John, 100% John. They didn't get to choose how they said things. He read the lines to them. He was a puppeteer. He truly was a puppeteer. And so the thought of Glenn sitting here saying, I want to do Lear the way Lear should be done, he can't. He couldn't possibly. You know, if he would say, well, okay, then he wouldn't be John Waters.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
He has to push back. He has to absolutely push back.
Yeah. So what do you need from this meeting?
What does he need from this meeting?
Well, you're part of the deal. I mean, the whole deal is that Hero wants you and I to make a movie together.
So this is another great thing, right? If we put Hero around this table, right? Hero has actually got a different point of view than either of you.
Right.
Right? Because you're like, I want to be Laurence Olivier.
Right.
And you're like, let's, roller skates and dyke truckers. And Hero would actually be sitting here kind of going, he'd be like looking at you and looking at John and going, I think it's going to work, right? That's why Hero wants, because I think in the end, like when Connie comes in and she's got the bomb and everything like that, I think Hero has to run up to you, and I was thinking about the emoticon, he should speak in emoticons too, OMG, semicolon, close parenthesis. Close parenthesis. And, he should say, don't you see, you have to eat the shit, you have to be Divine. You know, I think that Hero is saying the same thing to you, but you're trying to wheel and deal. You know what I mean?
So to that end,
Yeah.
I feel as John, at least where we've gotten to this, I don't feel that this, not you personally, but like this version of Divine who's come back, has quite played the card of all the films they've worked on together and all the roles. There's a lot of films he was Divine in. I mean, there's a canon. And I don't feel like John has necessarily been like soft soaped enough at this point. I mean, we do some of it now, you know, at this point.
Soft soap. I don't.
Like built up, like praised a bit, like you know. I don't feel like Divine has. I don't want to say is ungrateful, but there's an element of I'm back. I want this. I did these things, and here's this deal. But no, like tactic coming in, like remember how good we were together, and like some examples.
Glenn's acknowledgement of how good you really are, and that's why he wants you in the first place. Because of what you can do with material.
Exactly. It seems like there should be more of a case built, not a huge thing, but just something to lure me in. If we're going with this hero has his own needs and has his own version of this and really wants this, you know, filmmaker to come in. It just seems to be, this is not a criticism, just a jump to a decision. He's got this deal, he's gonna come in, I don't wanna do this, I wanna be this. No, we're gonna be like this. It's like, listen, you know, we need another tactic here. All the films were so good together.
Yeah.
So some more embracing of the divine, even, I'm going with what you were saying.
Yeah.
Not because you hate divine and you're sick of divine, but the clowns, the bitch is deflated.
So there's this line that,
Which I love.
so there's this line that Glenn says, or Divine says to you, don't you want to do something important?
Mm-hmm. Which is great.
But it's dropped
Yeah,
right now in the current script.
exactly.
Oh, it's not?
No,
It's
it's in my opinion, when I say it's dropped, I mean that they don't take the bait.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they don't, you know what I mean? So for me, what this is in that moment, this is one of those moments where you're failing, right? Now what you're describing to me is a pathway to potential success, right? So coax him and do this and do that. I don't think you need to even bother with that.
Okay.
The truth is, in conversations that we have all the time, it's all about failure, right? It's not about well-made moments. Life is about moments that fail.
Absolutely.
It's about saying shit that you don't mean. And I think it's better if we're talking about getting the two of them to a place where there's an argument, where one of them storms out, where one of them says something that's a little hateful or a little hurtful or something along those lines. And I think that if you're going to, so there's a part of me that thinks that if Glenn is going to use that line, don't you want to do something important, that has to trigger an angry response in you, and that you either have to defend what you guys have done up until then.
Yeah.
Even though, we could sit here and have a conversation about whether or not Glenn, in his heart of hearts, felt shame about that, right? But we don't need to bother with any of that, because we say these kinds of hateful things all the time in real life, and then it brings out the dark side, right? And so if it's just that, and then it's, if you say, well, everything that we've done until now is, it was important. What you're describing to me is not important at all. It's not important to me. It's not important to me to prove to those blue hairs.
Yeah, that's my thing. You're inverting what I said, which is
Yeah.
I agree. I think an explosion based on where they've been as his defense on that is great, and I think it really helps this moment because it feels like we're building a whole play in like a page here. Yeah. When I think it's in here. Where is that line? Because I was trying to.
It's right there before the end.
Thank you. Sorry. I'm just
Yeah. The line is there, but you start talking about. I just think that.
Are you looking for are you looking for having to ever want to do something important?
You say to him, how long do you want to stay in the trash? He says the line, how long do you want to stay in the trash?
Don't you want to get out of the
Don't you want to get out of the trash? Would you like to do something important?
No one's all sorry. It's just my pages are different than yours.
No,
That's all.
We're still on that. Yes, John. Don't you want to get out of the trash? Don't you want to do something important? I want to do Lear. I want to be Lear.
Yeah.
Keep going, my pages are totally different.
So I think that that's the thing. I think that, don't you want to do something important? I think that John Waters has to take that as a fuck you, and I think John has to turn around and say, fuck me, fuck you, right? And, you know,
Right.
in essence, you know, fuck you and what you think is important. I know it's important. We did it. We are important. We're, you know, and if you want, you know, we're in the Museum of Modern Art, motherfucker. How much more important do you want to be? You know, and Glenn could counter with, well, the first fucking thing you said to me is, I want an Oscar, I want an Oscar, I want an Oscar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What is that if not important? You know? And that Oscar is what does that Oscar stand for, right? It stands for the establishment. It stands for success within the
I
establishment.
shot this up last night.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but the
No, I know.
yeah, you know, if it's something along those lines. And then if we want to go to John Waters, the puppeteer, John Waters, the auteur, I mean, John can just simply say, listen, you asked me to make a movie with you, you want to do Lear? If we're going to do Lear, we're going to do it my way. You know? We're going to do it my way, and then it's going to be the filthiest Lear ever. If you want to be Lear, fine. You're going to do Lear my way, and you are going to be the filthiest Lear ever, right? And then, I can't, John, I can't do this. You know what I mean, John? I can't. You know, John, it's not. You know,
This is something because in this, like this chunk, which
Yeah.
there's similar-ish lines
Uh-huh.
in there. That's really, it's helping there to poke John and have some sort of emotional comeback, which
You've seen what happens when John Waters when he gets mad, he doesn't hold back.
I know we saw it. On
You know, he won't hold back.
No, he gets very pointed, very
Yeah.
fast. He gets very low.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't do that. I told you already. I mean, it's no, I'm not kidding. It's very disturbing. It's like, oh, it's great. It's Santa Claus.
Yeah.
I told you to put that down already.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's frightening. He's like, anyway.
Like your mother.
But you know what? I mean, when he talks about importance and he talks about being an establishment, everything along those lines, John is hearing his dad, right? When he does that, what's happening? John is sitting in the room asking his dad for $10,000 to make Pink Flamingo, and his dad is saying, no fucking way. So when he says do something important, you're not really responding to Divine, you're responding to John Waters' father.
Yeah. Which goes along.
Yeah, ironically, I know it's all Freud and everything, but that's all that's happening at this moment right now. You guys are responding to each other's dads.
Oh.
But it's true, right?
He talks about how.
Whether it's your dad or whether it's a mentor or whether it's that masculine or it could be a mother too, but it's that parental figure that told you shit like, no, you're not going to acquire practice. No, you're not doing this. No, you're not doing that. You are going to, you're going to take those accounting courses.
I didn't have that.
You didn't have that.
Not at all. I like ruled my parents.
Am I the only one in the room whose parents said,
Pretty. No, I'm sure everybody's parents did. I just had really strange parents.
Said what?
I got a scholarship.
I'm
I got a
told-
scholarship for music to do music. And my parents told me that I was going to turn down that fucking scholarship. And that I was going to work somewhere. Oh yeah, no. And that I was going to work somewhere and that I was going to be taking night courses. And that is what I was going to fucking do. I know.
Yeah,
I moved out.
I don't have that.
Well,
experience.
John Waters must have had a similar experience. I think his mother tried to be accepting, but I think that Dad.
Well, his whole argument was based on, look, you've given
Yeah.
my brothers and sister,
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
brother and sister both got money for college.
Right.
You gave them money for college. I'm not going to college.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just give me that money and let me do something with it, and I'll pay you back.
There's some frightening masculine figure in Glenn's past too, right? Because he plays that figure in Female Trouble, plays that figure in Hairspray.
Yeah.
Whether or not that guy had access to the house, or
Right.
whether that was just a model of
In his head.
hateful people or a hateful teacher back at the school or something along those
Bullies
lines.
beat him up.
he obviously was able to identify with this
Oh,
notion
yeah.
of a hateful, older, more powerful male voice that tells you what you're doing doesn't matter. You need to be doing something else.
Or
All right, enough of Bob's self-analysis. Why don't we just play?
Sure.
Let's go back to playing. Guys,